I remember the exact moment when everything shifted. It was like the universe decided to throw us a cosmic curveball. After vanishing behind the blazing sun for over a week, the enigmatic comet, what the researchers started calling Tripoli Atlas, finally reappeared on the northeastern horizon just before dawn. I was at the Blackwood Observatory, nestled in the rolling hills of Devonshire, nursing a strong coffee and trying to convince myself that the early morning was worth it. Spoiler, it was. From the moment the telescope locked onto that faint, ghostly smudge, I knew we were witnessing something that didn't fit any of our usual playbooks. As the hours passed, the images streamed in. This wasn't just any comet. Tripoli Atlas was a cosmic stranger, an interloper from beyond the familiar neighborhood of our solar system, but one that bent every rule we thought we knew. The surface was cloaked in an organic crust, a thick coat of mysterious compounds forged not in the warmth of a home star, but in the unforgiving vastness of the galaxy for billions of years. Imagine a comet wearing a cosmic leather jacket, battered by radiation instead of rain. It was like trying to read a well-worn book whose pages had been bleached and rewritten by the harshest cosmic editor imaginable, galactic rays from ancient supernovae and colliding black holes. Now, here's where it gets downright weird. While most comets are basically giant snowballs rich in water ice, Tripoli Atlas barely qualified. Carbon dioxide dominated its emissions, outnumbering water by nearly 8-1. The comet's glow was tinted an unusually deep red, thanks to the thick organic coating, and get this, the ratio of nickel to iron in its gas plume matched industrial alloys like something cooked up in a factory, not in space. Talk about an interstellar oddball. Even more baffling was the comet's trajectory. A retrograde orbit skimming the solar system's plane with surgical precision, threading past Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, as if someone had plotted its course with a cosmic GPS. The chances of all these coincidences lining up naturally? Less than 1 in 20,000. I'm no gambler, but those odds would make even Vegas sweat. And then, the cherry on top of this cosmic sundae. During July and August, observers caught a sunward jet, a stream of material blasting directly toward the sun, defying every law of physics we thought applied to comets. It was like seeing a fish swim upstream in a waterfall. Scientists scratched their heads. No one had a clue how that was possible. By late October, as Tripoli Atlas neared perihelion, the closest point to the sun, it did something no comet had ever done before. It brightened faster than a flashbulb and turned bluer than the sun itself in some wavelengths. Imagine a dirty snowball outshining the very star lighting our days. The Solar Observatory's SOHO, stereo, and GOES all captured the spectacle, each confirming the other's jaw-dropping data. But the plot thickened. Radio telescopes detected that the comet's position was slightly off from where physics predicted, not just by a smidge but by several arcseconds. Part of this could be explained by gravitational lensing, the sun's gravity bending the comet's light, but the rest hinted at something stranger: non-gravitational acceleration. In other words, Tripoli Atlas was changing speed without the usual cosmic push and pull. If it was outgassing enough to cause this, it should have lost a colossal chunk of its mass, leaving behind a detectable debris cloud. So far, no such cloud had been found. As an amateur astronomer turned reluctant detective in this cosmic mystery, I joined thousands of others setting up telescopes at dawn, chasing the comet's faint glow. Each night revealed new puzzles. The organic crust theory explained some things but raised countless others. How does a comet, wrapped in a 20-meter thick shell of radiation-baked compounds, still release jets of gas? How does its trajectory make such perfect planetary flybys? Why does it reflect light in ways that break all known models? The more I studied, the more it felt like the universe was teasing us. A cosmic magician revealing one trick after another, each more baffling than the last. And with December 19th approaching, the comet's closest pass to Earth, the world held its breath, waiting to see if we'd finally uncover the truth or plunge deeper into mystery. But here's the kicker. As I looked at the data, a chilling thought crept in. What if these anomalies weren't just random quirks of nature? What if Tripoli Atlas was something else, something designed? I don't say that lightly. The idea hung in the air like a London fog, thick, heavy, and impossible to ignore. The comet's unnatural nickel ratios, its improbable orbit, the unexplained acceleration, the sunward jet, and that bluer-than-the-sun glare all pointed to a story we weren't ready to tell. Yet, and just as the dawn broke on another chilly morning, I caught my breath, staring at the latest transmission from the telescope array, wondering, what secrets was Tripoli Atlas hiding beneath its cosmic leather jacket? And was the universe about to drop its next act? The night air was crisp as I set up my battered telescope in the shadow of the ancient oaks just outside Blackwood. The village was still asleep, save for the occasional owl hoot or the distant bark of a restless fox. I adjusted the focus, following the comet's slow drift above the horizon. Tripoli Atlas wasn't much to look at with the naked eye, a faint, ghostly blur against the inky backdrop. But through my lens, it was a different story. A swirling, enigmatic jewel, cloaked in mystery. I wasn't alone in this vigil. Across the country, from amateur stargazers in Cornwall to seasoned professionals at the Chiltern Observatory near Oxford, eyes and instruments were fixed on this celestial oddity. The whole scientific community seemed to be holding its breath. And me? Well, I was caught somewhere between awe and creeping unease. Last night's briefing at Chiltern had been intense. Dr. Victoria Grant, the lead spectroscopist, had arrived straight from London in a sharply tailored navy blue coat that hugged her figure just right, with a silk scarf dangling loosely around her neck, adding an air of effortless elegance. Her black leather boots clicked decisively across the polished floors as she paced, explaining the latest spectral data. The kind of woman who could make quantum physics sound like a bedtime story, and I was half convinced she could out-argue a ravenous fox over a chicken coop. She'd shown us the updated chemical breakdown, carbon dioxide emissions were still dominating, the nickel-to-iron ratio stubbornly industrial, and the polarization measurements were giving her team headaches. It's as if the comet's dust grains are crafted, not formed, she'd said, her eyes gleaming with an edge of excitement and frustration, like someone went to the trouble of engineering it. I wanted to ask whether she believed in little green men, but I swallowed the words. Outside, Victoria's assistant, Tom, was fiddling nervously with a handheld spectrometer. He was a lanky lad from Durham with a mop of unruly ginger hair and a habit of cracking bad jokes at the worst moments. Maybe the comet's just trying out for the next Bond villain, he muttered, eyes fixed on the swirling data. You know, License to Chill or something. I chuckled, but the absurdity didn't ease the tension. The comet's behavior was becoming too strange, too deliberate to dismiss as cosmic coincidence. And then there was the anti-tail, jets of material blasting sunward, defying physics like a rebellious teenager sneaking out after curfew. That morning, as dawn painted the sky in soft pinks and golds, I met with Sarah Collins, a radio astronomer from the Cambridge Array. She was bundled in a burgundy trench coat, her auburn hair braided neatly over one shoulder, her eyes sharp and inquisitive beneath rimless glasses. Sarah had been tracking the comet's radio signals, and her findings were equally unsettling. The positional deviation near perihelion, she explained over steaming mugs of tea in the cramped observatory kitchen, isn't just about gravitational lensing. There's additional acceleration that can't be accounted for by outgassing or solar radiation pressure. I raised an eyebrow. So what's pushing it? She shrugged, her lips curling into a half-smile. That's the million-pound question, isn't it? If it's natural, it's unlike anything we've seen. If it's artificial, well, that opens a whole other can of worms. I sipped my tea, suddenly feeling the weight of the unknown settle over me. The idea of an interstellar visitor with a mind of its own, silent, inscrutable, and possibly watching us back, sent a shiver down my spine. Later that afternoon, I wandered down to the riverside, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows over the sleepy town. I spotted a figure waiting near the old stone bridge. Emily. She was the local astrophotographer, known for her keen eye and a wardrobe that flirted with danger. Tight leather jacket, faded jeans, and boots that clicked rhythmically on the cobblestones. There was an undeniable allure in the way she carried herself, a mix of confidence and mystery that made me catch my breath more than once. Got some new shots of Tripoli, she said, flashing a grin that was equal parts mischievous and inviting. You want to see? I nodded, following her to the riverbank where she'd set up her camera on a tripod. The images were haunting, swirls of red and deep shadow, the comet's glow piercing the twilight like a secret waiting to be unraveled. As darkness deepened, the comet climbed higher, its eerie red shimmer contrasting with the cold blue of the night sky. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a scientific curiosity. It was a message, a puzzle wrapped in riddles, and every answer only led to more questions. And somewhere, hidden beneath layers of cosmic radiation and time, Tripoli Atlas held a secret that could change everything we thought we knew about the universe. But as I packed up my gear, a sudden chill crept along my spine. A faint signal pinged on my radio receiver. An anomaly, subtle but unmistakable. The comet wasn't just moving through space. It was communicating, or at least trying to. I stared up at the sky, heart pounding. What was it trying to tell us? And were we ready to listen? The chill wasn't from the evening air. It was that faint, rhythmic pulse humming through my radio receiver. The kind of signal that sets a scientist's heart racing and a skeptic's mind spinning wild theories. I adjusted the dials, trying to isolate the pattern amid the cosmic noise. It wasn't random static. There was a rhythm, a cadence, something eerily deliberate. That night, at the Whitford Observatory nestled atop the chalk cliffs of Sussex, the atmosphere was electric. The usual hum of machinery was punctuated by soft whispers and the occasional clink of coffee cups. I found myself sharing the observation room with Professor James Hartley, a grizzled veteran of astrophysics with a penchant for tweed jackets and a dry wit sharper than a comet's tail. "Fancy seeing you here at this hour," he remarked, giving me a sideways glance. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Maybe the ghost of science past, present, and future," I replied, forcing a smile. Then I explained the signal. Hartley's eyes narrowed as he listened to the playback, the irregular beeps and pulses filling the room. "If this is deliberate," he mused, "it could be the first direct contact with an extraterrestrial artifact. Or it could be the universe's idea of a cosmic prank." I laughed, but the tension lingered. The idea that Tripoli Atlas might be more than just a wayward chunk of space rock was no longer fringe speculation. It was a very real possibility demanding our attention. Meanwhile, the comet's physical appearance continued to challenge expectations. Observations from the Cranbrook Array revealed subtle changes in its shape, suggesting a nucleus far more complex than a simple icy body. The surface, veiled in that thick organic crust, appeared to shimmer faintly under certain wavelengths, almost as if it was alive, breathing, reacting. I couldn't shake the image of that crimson glow, wrapping the comet like a silk scarf spun from cosmic threads. It was seductive, almost hypnotic, drawing observers into its enigma. Emily's photographs captured this too, the way light played upon the comet's surface, revealing hints of texture and depth that defied explanation. That evening, I met up with her again at the riverside. She was wearing a deep emerald sweater that clung softly to her frame, paired with dark jeans and those ever-present leather boots that echoed softly against the cobblestones. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of excitement and something deeper, curiosity tinged with unease. "Have you noticed," she said, "how the comet seems to respond to our instruments? Like it knows we're watching." I hesitated. "You're not imagining things. The data suggests it's more active than a typical comet." Emily smiled slyly. "Maybe it's flirting, cosmic style." I rolled my eyes but couldn't help smiling. There was something intoxicating about her confidence, the way she blended sharp intellect with a teasing charm. But beneath the banter, we both understood the stakes were higher than any personal game. Back at the observatory, the scientific teams were working around the clock. Spectroscopy revealed molecules we'd only ever dreamed of detecting, complex carbon chains, organic compounds that challenged our understanding of chemistry in space. The comet's red reflection spectrum hinted at something almost alive, a chemical symphony composed over billions of years. Yet, the nickel-to-iron ratio remained the stubborn outlier. Industrial grade, precise, unexplainable by natural processes. It was as if someone had left a signature, a cosmic calling card etched into the very dust and gas streaming from the comet. As December 19th approached, the comet's closest approach to Earth. The world watched with bated breath. Media coverage oscillated between sober scientific reporting and sensational headlines. Alien visitor or cosmic coincidence? Asked one tabloid, while respected journals published cautious analyses laden with phrases like, requires further investigation, and remains unexplained. In the quiet moments, when the telescopes rested and the chatter faded, I found myself staring at the night sky, wondering, was Tripoli Atlas a messenger, a probe, or simply a relic of cosmic history? Could it be that we were witnessing the universe's first subtle hello, wrapped in layers of radiation-baked organics and mysterious metals? Then, just as I was about to call it a night, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number, containing nothing but coordinates and a single phrase, "Look closer." I swallowed hard, heart pounding. What had we missed? And who or what was reaching out from the darkness? The coordinates led me to an old airfield on the outskirts of Ashford, a forgotten patch of cracked tarmac and rusting hangars swallowed by wild grasses. The moon hung low, casting elongated shadows that danced with the night breeze. I pulled my jacket tighter, the chill biting through the fabric, and scanned the sky toward the comet's position. Tripoli Atlas was a faint, flickering ember just above the horizon, its crimson glow barely visible against the dark canvas. Inside one of the dilapidated hangars, I found a small group gathered around a cluster of equipment, portable telescopes, spectrometers, and laptops humming softly. They were a mix of local astronomers and astrophysics students, faces illuminated by screens showing live feeds of the comet and data streams. Among them was Oliver, a lanky fellow with a shock of unruly brown hair and wire-rimmed glasses, his enthusiasm bordering on infectious. He wore a charcoal hoodie, faded jeans, and sneakers scuffed from countless nights under the stars. "Glad you made it," he said, flashing a grin. "We picked up something unusual." Oliver showed me a series of spectrograms that revealed fleeting pulses of electromagnetic fluctuations. Not quite radio signals, but subtle modulations embedded in the comet's emissions. It was as if the comet itself was pulsing with a faint heartbeat, a cosmic Morse code barely perceptible through the noise. I glanced at the group, then back at the screen. "Are we sure this isn't just interference?" "Triple-checked," Oliver replied. "We filtered out everything, solar flares, terrestrial sources, even satellite chatter. This is coming from the comet, no doubt." Emily arrived then, slipping in quietly as she always did, her leather jacket catching the moonlight. Her dark curls framed a face flushed with excitement, eyes sparkling with that same mix of wonder and something else, determination. She wore a deep burgundy scarf wrapped loosely around her neck, adding a touch of warmth and elegance to her otherwise casual attire. "Looks like the comet's trying to talk," she said softly. "But what does it want?" We all exchanged glances, the weight of the question hanging heavy in the cold air. The idea that this ancient traveler might be attempting communication was thrilling, terrifying, and utterly surreal. As the night deepened, we trained our instruments on Tripoli Atlas, listening, watching, waiting. The pulses persisted, irregular, complex, and undeniably artificial in pattern. It was a cosmic riddle wrapped in stardust. Suddenly, the comet brightened sharply, its glow intensifying in a dazzling display that bathed the hangar in an otherworldly red light. The air seemed to hum with energy, and for a moment, time itself felt suspended. Then, just as suddenly, the light dimmed. Oliver whispered, "Did you see that? It's like it's responding." A thrill ran through me, mingling with an undercurrent of dread. If this was contact, it wasn't a simple hello. It was a challenge, a puzzle, a summons. Emily stepped closer, her voice barely audible. "Whatever's inside that comet, it's watching us back." Outside, the wind howled through broken windows, carrying with it the faintest echo of something unspoken, an invitation or a warning. The night had deepened, but the mystery of Tripoli Atlas was only beginning to unravel. And somewhere, far beyond our reach, the comet held secrets older than time itself. As I packed up my gear, a sudden thought struck me, one that chilled me more than the night air. If this was a message, who or what was on the other end, waiting to be heard? The dawn was reluctant to break as I drove back from Ashford. The sky a bruised purple and the roads slick with dew. My mind was tangled in questions, each one more unsettling than the last. That strange pulse from Tripoli Atlas wasn't just noise. It was deliberate. A communication. But communication for what? And to whom? Back at Blackwood Observatory, the usual hum of equipment felt different, charged, expectant. I settled into the control room, the glow of monitors casting shadows on the worn wooden panels. Victoria Grant was already there, leaning over spectral data, her dark eyes sharp beneath the strands of hair escaping her loose bun. Her tailored burgundy blouse contrasted with the stark sterility of the machines, a bold splash of color in the otherwise muted room. "You heard about the signal?" I asked, lowering my voice. She nodded, her gaze steady. "Yes, it changes everything. If Tripoli Atlas is trying to communicate, it's the greatest discovery in human history, and probably a nightmare wrapped in a mystery." I couldn't help but grin despite the tension. "You're not the worrying type." Victoria smiled, the kind of smile that hinted at secrets and sleepless nights. "Worrying is part of the job description." We pored over the latest data together. The Comet's sudden brightening episodes, those rapid flares and blue shifts, were now synchronized with the electromagnetic pulses. It was as if the comet was modulating its brightness to punctuate its message, a cosmic semaphore. Emily called in just then, her voice crackling over the speaker. "You won't believe this. The radio arrays have picked up something else, an anomalous pattern in the solar wind around the comet. It's like the comet is manipulating its environment." I rubbed my temples. "So it's not just passive. It's active, maybe even intelligent." Victoria leaned back, eyes distant. "Or it's a natural phenomenon so complex we can't even begin to model it yet. Remember, the universe loves to surprise us." But deep down, I knew this was different. The nickel-to-iron ratio still haunted me, a signature so precise it screamed artificiality. The comet's trajectory was too perfect, threading through the solar system like a guided missile rather than a drifting rock. Later that evening, I met Emily at the town's old bookstore, an unlikely sanctuary filled with dusty tomes and the scent of aged paper. She wore a deep green cardigan that softened her sharp features, and a delicate silver necklace caught the lamplight as she flipped through an astronomy journal. "Have you ever thought," she mused, "that maybe this comet isn't just visiting? Maybe it's watching us, studying us like we study it?" I nodded slowly. "If it's true, then we're part of a story much bigger than we imagined. And we might be the ones under the microscope." Her eyes met mine, a spark of something unspoken passing between us. The weight of the unknown pressed in, but there was also a strange thrill, like standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss, and feeling alive for the first time. That night, as the comet glowed faintly against the velvet sky, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of something monumental. The pieces were falling into place, but the picture they formed was still obscured by shadows. And then the unthinkable happened. Just before midnight, the observatories detected a sharp, inexplicable drop in the comet's brightness. A blackout that lasted mere seconds but sent ripples through the scientific community. Instruments across the globe recorded the event, baffling experts and fueling wild speculation. Was it a natural phenomenon? A sudden collapse of the organic crust? Or something more deliberate? A signal, a warning, a manifestation of intelligence? As I stared up at the darkened sky, heart pounding, one thing was clear. Tripoli Atlas wasn't done with us yet, and neither were its secrets. The blackout hit like a thunderclap, shattering the calm night and plunging Tripoli Atlas into an eerie silence that echoed across observatories worldwide. At Blackwood, the screens went dark for a heartbeat, then flickered back to life, showing the comet's glow returning. Fainter, but unmistakably there. The sudden dip wasn't just a flicker. It was a message written in shadow. Victoria was pacing, her heels clicking sharply against the polished floor, a crimson blouse now replaced by a sleek black jacket that made her look every bit the commander of this cosmic battleground. "That blackout," she said, voice taut, could be a form of communication, an intentional pause, like Morse code spaces between letters. I nodded, the adrenaline making my fingers twitch. Or a blackout in the organic crust. A crack, a shift, something exposing the layers beneath. Emily arrived moments later, her usual playful grin replaced by a serious gaze. She wore a deep sapphire dress that hugged her silhouette just so, paired with ankle boots that echoed softly in the control room. Her auburn curls were pinned back, revealing a delicate silver chain glinting at her throat. "I captured something during the blackout," she said, pulling up images on her tablet. A faint shimmer beneath the surface, like the comet's skin peeled back for a moment. The images were haunting, ghostly glimpses of a darker core, shadows within shadows, as if the comet was revealing a secret it had kept hidden for eons. Across the globe, chatter buzzed among scientists and amateurs alike. Theories flowed like wildfire. Was Tripoli Atlas a vessel? A probe? A relic of a civilization lost to time? Or simply a cosmic phenomenon defying every law we thought immutable? I found myself pulled back into the night, setting up my telescope beneath a canopy of stars. The comet's glow was steady now, but beneath that steady light lurked the unknown. I adjusted the lens, focusing on a faint flicker, a brief flash that seemed almost deliberate. Suddenly, a nearby radio crackled to life with a burst of static, then a voice, distorted, fragmented, but unmistakably human. "We're not alone," it whispered before fading into silence. My heart hammered. Had the comet been sending signals all along? Or were we hearing echoes from somewhere else? Somewhere closer, yet beyond understanding. Emily joined me by the telescope, her breath visible in the cold night air. "It's like the comet's a mirror," she said softly, "reflecting our fears, our hopes, maybe even our own voices." I swallowed hard. Or maybe it's waiting for us to understand. The night stretched on, endless and profound, as the comet traced its path across the heavens. Each pulse, each flicker, each shadow held a fragment of a story we were only beginning to glimpse. And as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, a new mystery emerged. One that would challenge everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. Because hidden within the comet's heart was a signal, a pattern so precise, so deliberate, it couldn't be ignored. The universe was speaking, and we had to listen. The morning sun filtered weakly through the grimy windows of the Blackwood Observatory, casting long, pale beams across scattered papers and humming equipment. I was seated at the control panel, eyes bleary but focused, replaying the latest data from the night's observations. The signal, the one buried deep within the comet's emissions, had crystallized into something unmistakable. A complex pattern of pulses, mathematically precise and repeating. Victoria appeared at my side, her dark hair a little tousled from hours of work, dressed casually now in a soft gray sweater and jeans that somehow made her look effortlessly commanding. "It's a code," she said quietly, her voice tinged with awe. "Something designed, deliberate. Whoever or whatever is behind this knew we'd be listening." Emily joined us shortly after, slipping in with her usual confident stride, wearing a fitted leather jacket over a crimson blouse that caught the light just so, hinting at the subtle curves beneath. Her eyes sparkled with that mix of excitement and cautious hope. "It's like a cosmic riddle," she mused, waiting for us to solve it. The team scrambled to decode the message. Mathematicians, linguists, cryptographers, all working feverishly to unravel what felt like the universe's most enigmatic puzzle. The pulses mapped out prime numbers, Fibonacci sequences, even snippets resembling universal constants. It was a beacon of intelligence, a signature etched across light years. But then came the deeper mystery. Interlaced with the mathematical language were patterns that defied logic, symbols that looked eerily like ancient runes, glowing faintly in the spectral data. Their shapes twisted and curled, almost like a cosmic tattoo etched into the comet's very surface. As I stared at the screens, a flicker of doubt crept in. Was this a message from an alien civilization? Or a relic from a forgotten cosmic era? A fossilized code inscribed in the chemistry of the comet itself? That evening, Emily and I met at the old pier overlooking the restless sea. The salty breeze tangled her dark curls as she leaned against the weathered railing, eyes fixed on the horizon where the comet's faint glow shimmered. "Do you ever think," she said softly, "that maybe this comet is a messenger from a time before us? A time when the galaxy was young and full of secrets?" I nodded, the weight of the unknown pressing down. "Or maybe it's a warning, something left behind to guide or to caution." Her lips curled into a knowing smile. "Either way, we're part of the story now, and there's no turning back." Back at the observatory, the data stream surged. New observations revealed the comet's rotation was changing subtly, a dance choreographed with uncanny precision. It wasn't tumbling randomly like most space rocks, but adjusting its spin, as if responding to unseen forces or commands. Victoria's voice crackled over the comms, tinged with urgency. "Prepare for the next phase. December 19th is just the beginning. Whatever Tripoli Atlas is, it's about to reveal more than we bargained for." As midnight approached, the comet's glow intensified once more, bathing the world in a spectral light both beautiful and unsettling. The universe had thrown down its gauntlet, and we were ready to catch it. The night of December 19th arrived like a storm, dark, electric, and impossible to ignore. Blackwood Observatory was a hive of activity, every station manned, every instrument primed. The air buzzed with anticipation, mingled with the faint scent of cold metal and old coffee. Outside, the village lay cloaked in silence, as if holding its breath alongside us. Victoria stood near the central console, wrapped in a sleek midnight blue coat that shimmered softly under the fluorescent lights. Her sharp eyes swept the room, commanding and calm. "This is it," she said, voice steady but charged. "Tripoli Atlas is making its closest approach. Every observation counts." Emily was nearby, her presence magnetic. She wore a deep red dress that hugged her figure elegantly, paired with ankle boots that clicked softly on the tiled floor. Her dark curls framed a face alive with excitement and something deeper, a fierce determination to uncover the truth. I adjusted the telescope's focus, heart hammering as the comet drifted into view. Through the lens, Tripoli Atlas was no longer just a distant smudge but a swirling, glowing enigma. A cosmic siren wrapped in its signature red veil, pulsing with energy that felt almost alive. Suddenly, the monitors flickered. Data streamed in faster than ever, spectral lines shifting, emissions flaring in unpredictable bursts. The comet's brightness surged, outshining anything we'd seen before, bathing the room in an eerie, bluish light. Victoria's voice cut through the chaos. "Focus on the polarization data. This could be the key." The readings defied all models. The dust and gas around the comet exhibited polarization patterns unlike any known comet, twisting light in ways that suggested complex structures, maybe even engineered surfaces interacting with solar radiation. Emily leaned close, whispering, "It's beautiful, like a living sculpture in the void." Then came the moment that silenced the room. The comet's trajectory shifted, subtle but unmistakable, a nudge away from predicted paths. Non-gravitational acceleration, again. But this time the effect was stronger, more precise. "What's causing it?" I asked, voice barely audible. Victoria shook her head. "We don't know, but it's intentional. Something inside Tripoli Atlas is controlling its motion." As the comet swung past, the radio arrays picked up a new sequence. Complex, layered, and unmistakably a signal. The patterns weren't just mathematical anymore. They contained information, hints of language, maybe even a map. Emily's fingers trembled as she pieced together fragments on her tablet. Coordinates, directions, something beyond our solar system. The room was alive with a mix of awe and fear. We were no longer mere observers. We were participants in a cosmic dialogue. Outside, the night sky blazed with the comet's fading glow, a final message lingering in the starlight. And as the last photons reached us, I realized this was only the opening act. Somewhere beyond the stars, something or someone was waiting for us to follow. The days after December 19th felt surreal, like living in the eye of a cosmic storm. Tripoli Atlas was receding now, slipping back toward the dark reaches beyond our gaze. But its message lingered, etched in data, whispered through signals, woven into the fabric of our thoughts. At Blackwood, the atmosphere was electric yet tense. Scientists from around the world flooded in, drawn by the promise of the greatest mystery humanity had ever faced. Victoria, now donning a sharp charcoal blazer over a crimson blouse that mirrored the comet's glow, coordinated teams with unyielding focus, her presence both reassuring and commanding. Emily and I found ourselves working side by side in the spectral analysis room, the hum of computers and the soft clatter of keyboards our constant companion. She wore a fitted navy jacket over a delicate lace top, a subtle blend of strength and vulnerability. Her eyes, bright and determined, never left the screens. "We've decoded more of the signal," she said one evening, voice low but urgent. "It's a map, directions to a point deep in interstellar space. Beyond the Oort cloud, past the edge of our solar system." I leaned closer, heart pounding. "A destination? More than that," she whispered. "An invitation." The room seemed to shrink around us, the weight of possibility pressing in. Was this an offer to reach out, to follow the trail set by a visitor from the stars? Or a trap, a lure into the unknown? Victoria's announcement cut through the murmurs that night. "We're organizing an international mission," she declared, eyes blazing with resolve. "A probe to follow Tripoli Atlas's path, to uncover what lies at the coordinates encoded in the message." The world held its breath. Governments, space agencies, private enterprises, all converging in a race to be part of this unprecedented journey. But beneath the excitement, a shadow loomed. The anomalies, the unnatural nickel ratios, the impossible trajectory, the anti-solar jets, still defied explanation. Were we chasing a cosmic enigma or something far more complex? Late one night, Emily confided in me as we watched the comet's fading trail from the observatory's rooftop. "Sometimes I wonder if we're ready for what we might find, if the universe really is trying to talk to us." I nodded, the vastness of space suddenly intimate and daunting. "Whatever's out there, we'll face it together." As the comet disappeared beyond the horizon, a sudden burst of static crackled through our radios. A final, cryptic transmission. "Not alone," the voice whispered, fading into silence. A shiver ran down my spine. The chase was only beginning. The night sky over Blackwood was unusually clear, stars glittering like distant diamonds scattered across the velvet black. I stood alone on the observatory's rooftop, the cold biting through my jacket as I stared into the vastness where Tripoli Atlas had vanished. The comet's passage felt less like an ending and more like the opening of a chapter we weren't ready to read. Inside, the hum of machinery and the low murmur of distant conversations reminded me that the world was waking to a new reality, one shaped by mysteries, whispers, and the unrelenting pursuit of the unknown. Victoria's words echoed in my mind from the last briefing. "We're on the brink of rewriting everything we know about our place in the cosmos. But the truth is, we don't know what we'll find at the end of this trail." Emily had been quiet today, her usual fiery spirit tempered by a weight I hadn't seen before. She wore a simple black sweater and jeans, her hair pulled back loosely, revealing a slender neck adorned with a delicate silver pendant, an unspoken talisman against the uncertainty ahead. The decoded signal, the map beyond our solar system, the unnatural features of the comet, all pointed toward something profound and unsettling. An intelligence reaching across light years, perhaps waiting for us to follow. Yet, as the international community rallied to launch the probe, a shadow lingered. The anomalies remained unexplained. The industrial nickel ratios, the precise orbital dance, the startling sunward jets, the sudden brightening and fading, and the cryptic final transmissions. Each piece a puzzle demanding answers that science was only beginning to grasp. And then, late that night, a new alert flashed across the observatory's consoles. A faint but unmistakable signal detected near the edge of the Kuiper belt. A transmission, emanating from coordinates aligned eerily with the comet's trajectory. The voice was distorted, alien yet hauntingly familiar. "We are watching," it said, a whisper carried on the cosmic wind. My breath caught. The universe was no longer silent. It was speaking in riddles, in codes, in shadows. As I looked back up at the star-strewn sky, a profound truth settled within me. Tripoli Atlas was not just a visitor from another star. It was a messenger, a herald of something vast and unknown. And whatever lay ahead, whether revelation or reckoning, would change everything. The countdown had begun, and the stars were waiting,